we can never forget the heroic actions of the brave whistleblower who gave us a warning of the overall crisis of just how Boeing is running its operations. Now, the thing is, many people call into question, did he truly self-delete himself? Which I doubt completely. I really don't. It's the family of the whistleblower actually are blaming the company for his demise. So let's go ahead and play this video and enjoy it. Shout out again to Case Study QB.
Now to a CBS News exclusive. We're hearing for the first time from a family of a former Boeing manager who became a whistleblower. John Barnett died earlier this month, just before he was set to testify in a lawsuit against the airline manufacturer. He'd accused Boeing of repeatedly ignoring safety issues. CBS's Mark Strassman spoke with his mother and brother.
He thought of himself as trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Vicki Stokes' son, John Barnett, worked at Boeing for 32 years, the last 7 as a quality manager at the South Carolina factory that builds the 787 Dreamliner.
How did he tell you he was being treated?
He was like embarrassed at meetings. He would be called out.
Not the type of back down.
No, sir. In a whistleblower lawsuit, Barnett alleged a litany of safety concerns: stray titanium shavings falling into electrical wiring, defective oxygen tanks, and managers urging him to cut corners. In this 2022 Netflix documentary, Barnett claimed his managers retaliated against him for speaking up.
Boeing quit listening to their employees.
No. I, for one, am forever going to look at airplanes a hell of a lot differently now, especially after hearing how they construct and supervise things. Dish soap or, hand soap, credit card, just to make sure everything's all good. I mean, what's next? Bubble gum and spit? Probably.
So every time I'd raise my hand and say, hey, we got a problem here, they would attack the messenger and ignore the message.
In his hotel parking lot, Barnett was found dead from a gunshot wound in his car on March 9th. While police are still investigating, the coroner says it appears to be a suicide.
Do you blame Boeing?
I think if this hadn't gone on so long, I'd still have my son. My sons would still have their brother, and we wouldn't be sitting here. So in that respect, I do.
Barnett's death occurred as depositions continue and as Boeing grapples with weeks of headlines about its safety culture, specifically repeated problems with its 737 MAX planes, including a mid-flight blowout of an Alaska Airlines door.
And that's not the only one. Wheels falling off, engines failure. Oh, how about this one? Where a plane was flying and just started a nosedive. And there was almost no way that the engine was going to be starting again, were it not for the heroic actions of the pilots. These companies, these corporations are cutting corners.
Barnett worked on a different plane, but raised similar concerns.
He wasn't trying to hurt Boeing. He was trying to save Boeing. He saw this coming, and he said at some point, this is all going to come down on Boeing.
In the middle of Boeing's reputational crisis, Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun announced he's stepping down. In a statement, Boeing said, "We're saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing, and our thoughts are with his family and friends."
Mm-hmm. Y'all know Boeing has ties with the military-industrial complex, right, folks? Just throwing it out there. Just so all of you are aware of just how bad the system is. And, well, you would think they take pride in their work, but they don't. Safety? The welfare of the public? No. It's all about profits. It's all about the dollars. And if they could cut corners, they will.
I asked Rodney Barnett about his brother's legacy.
That's all he wanted. Just the safety of the public.
He thought that was at stake.
That he knew that was at stake, and that's what he was concentrating on.
Barnett's family is trying to carry on his whistleblower lawsuit against Boeing after 7 years of litigation. It's scheduled for trial this September. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Charleston, South Carolina.
Now, hold on. The lawyer also spoke out as well.
More bad news for Boeing. The aviation giant, which used to be one of America's crown jewels, facing a massive shakeup. CEO Dave Calhoun announcing he'll be stepping down as the company faces growing safety concerns surrounding their fleet of planes, as well as an ongoing whistleblower investigation. The announcement coming weeks after whistleblower John Barnett was found dead of an apparent suicide, which has been shrouded in mystery. Barnett was a retired 30-year quality manager who had been speaking out about the company cutting corners over the last 2 decades and was in the middle of an ongoing deposition against Boeing.
Used to be when you raise your hand and say, we got a problem here, they would say, yeah, you're right, we're going to fix it. After the merger with McDonnell Douglas and the Airbus coming on, Boeing quit listening to their employees. So every time I'd raise my hand and say, hey, we got a problem here, they would attack the messenger and ignore the message.
Boeing allegedly pulled out all the stops and tried to silence their employees from raising concerns. Barnett's lawsuit claims that after he spoke up to management, the company's response was to harass, humiliate, and make an example of them to dissuade others from pointing out their safety shortcomings.
And who can we thank for that? Our politicians. Why our politicians? Because our politicians have also been bought by the corporations. And these CEOs, they're sociopaths. They're psychos. They don't care about safety or regulations. They only care about short-term profits, not the long game, not the big game, not the big picture. They only care about what they can do right now, this very second. Nothing else. Nothing substantial. Just right now, right what is in front of them. That's it. Just the big bucks. No long-term plans. That's a problem here in America. There's no long-term plan of how do we keep things going for the next generation, and next generation, and next generation. So that's why whistleblowers and reporters and people who are speaking out against corruption are quickly arrested and vilified, because the good guy never wins in the empire. The good guy never wins in an oligarchy, because in a system like ours, if you speak the truth, you're the bad guy. You're the villain. Malcolm X was right. Hey, the newspapers will have you hating the good person, the whistleblower. The system will have you hating the good guy and root for the bad guy. And of course, Boeing is going to encourage that. Don't you speak out. Just shut up. Do your job.
The suit goes so far as to say that his former manager recruited another supervisor to spy on him. But now, we may never know what was going on behind closed doors, because Barnett mysteriously died earlier this month while in the middle of a court battle against Boeing. He was found dead in his truck in the parking lot of the hotel that he'd been staying at for the deposition, with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound and a mysterious paper believed to be a note on the passenger seat. Now, a close friend speaking out and saying Barnett told her he had no plans of killing himself.
He said, but if anything happens to me, it's not suicide. You know, I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way. He loved life too much. He loved his family too much. He loved his brothers too much to put them through what they're going through right now.
Boeing telling Primetime in a statement, quote, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing, and our thoughts are with his family and friends." Boeing reviewed and addressed quality issues that Mr. Barnett raised before he retired in 2017, as well as other claims mentioned in the complaint. John Barnett's lawyer, Robert Turkowitz, joins me now. Robert.
Now, condolences to his family and his friends. And it's abundantly clear, I think, to all of us, that his demise is highly questionable. We've seen this rodeo before. We have seen this story before here in America. This isn't open for a debate. We know very well that there is a serious and insidious system that is ruling over us.
How suspicious are you of your client's death?
Well, the Charleston City Police are investigating it right now. It just didn't make sense to my co-counsel, Brian Knowles, and I, and others. He had told his mother he'd be back on Sunday. He had a appointment to meet with a good friend to have dinner on Sunday night. And he had been testifying basically as our witness on Friday, and we were going to put him back on the stand just for a short period of time on Saturday. We were just laying out the reasons why it was a hostile work environment for him at Boeing, and we had a lot to talk about. And when we tried to get in touch with them Saturday morning, we were unable to, and I contacted the hotel and asked them to check on him.
And this is very clear here too, all right? Because there's probably a lot more to the story, but look, lawyers, legal things cost money, right? And the thing is, with a case like this, you know, his lawyer probably knew his client very well, understood how they operated, how they spoke, what they did, you know, all that kind of good stuff, all that good jazz. And, well, to be clear here, folks, a lot of questions and red flags should be a buzzing and a waving in the air. Why is it? Why is it that now, as things were developing, that took place, that situation? It seems all too convenient. Now, we have seen so many other stories about airplanes and how there's been so many mechanical failures. I think many of us want to know that when we get on an airplane, that we're going to safely arrive to our destination. And we need people who will do their job and make sure that the plans are put together. But the fact that Boeing has been operating like this for decades, this has been one big Russian roulette with all of our lives. What planes are fully operational? What planes are fully safe? Should we trust the whole entire fleet? And this goes for all the corporations that are building our airplanes. Are people really doing their jobs? And when someone does speak out, what's going to happen to them?
I tried calling his room. They tried his room. He wasn't there. And I asked if his truck was there, and that's when they found him. So we were just shocked and devastated by it. I just can't explain it. And I'm sorry.
No, have you been speaking to the local police? Or is their investigation satisfactory? I mean, the gunshot to the head and nose, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's our feeling too. And the Charleston City Police are investigating, and so is the coroner. That's really all I can say. And we're just waiting for the police department and the coroner to release a report on what they believe happened.
Did he have enemies within the company?
You know, John Barnett never, I mean, I think he was friends with everybody. And I can't imagine, he's never indicated to me that he received any threats or that he had any enemies. I mean, other than, you know, there was a hostile work environment going on there at the plant where he was basically denigrated for following the processes and procedures and insisting on doing so.
Robert,
how many? I mean, it's hard to say.
Robert, how big of a threat was your client's testimony to Boeing?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think that Boeing would be behind his death, okay? No matter what. I can't believe that, because John loved Boeing and he loved the company. And what John was trying to do really was to get Boeing to change its culture and really to save the company. So I don't know how to answer that.
All right. Well, it's a tragedy and it doesn't make sense, and we'll continue to investigate. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and thanks for joining us on Prime Time and sharing what you know. And please let us know what happens with the police investigation.
Hopefully we are able to get an investigation and we're able to get a clear answer about what happened, who's responsible, why was this allowed to take place, and hopefully some justice does appear before us. But the real truth is that there's been a dip in quality in public safety. Our infrastructure is falling apart. It's just not only our airplanes. And yes, we need to be concerned about our airplanes because they're all the way up there in the air. And when they come crashing down, let's just say it's a huge mess. Same thing goes for our boats, our trains, our roads, our railroads, everything, our bridges, everything is starting to crumble and fall apart. And those that have been speaking out, those that have been raising the alarm, are quickly told to shut up. They're fired, dismissed, ostracized. And if they do speak out, well, they're made an example of. This is not how a society should function. But our politicians and our media and their corporate overlords, this is what they wanted. And they tricked us for a long time into thinking that everything is safe. It is not. Question everything.